AI in action. Real-world case studies and lessons learned. The panelist is Munya Maraire, Chief Executive Officer, Worldwide Scholarships. The moderator is Palesa Mofokeng. In Africa, sports is more than a game. It's the heartbeat of every nation. From packed stadiums in Soweto and Cote d'Ivoire to the rugby fields of Stellenbosch, to the streets of Kenya where champions are made, African dreams are made of sports. But behind the roar of the crowd and the vuvuzela, something new is rising: artificial intelligence. AI is changing how our athletes train, how coaches plan, and how fans engage. It's analyzing match stats in real time, detecting injuries before they happen, and even helping discover the next Siya Kolisi, Didier Drogba, Eliud Kipchoge, or Caster Semenya long before the world takes notice. African teams are starting to use AI for smarter game plans, personalized training, and data-driven decisions that can make the difference between glory and heartbreak. This new era brings more than just technology. It's the future of African sport on the field.
Munya, welcome to the stage. I know you have been waiting. I saw you come in very early in the morning and you stuck around until this hour.
Thank you so much. I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
Because I saw so many amazing industries being discussed. Mm-hmm. And for me, there was something that I just couldn't miss.
Yeah, of course. Now let's get right into our conversation. Talk to me about how artificial intelligence is changing the playbook in the world of sports in the African context.
I think first and foremost, before I go deeply into that, it's very important for everybody to understand that Africa is the next trajectory of sports dominance. Sports is huge business. It's not even big business. You know, you've got athletes being paid millions of US dollars. I myself was a former NFL player, played in the American Football League in the United States. The salaries are shocking. And it's just sad sometimes when you look at how sports is kind of overlooked, yet we close the whole country when the Springboks play. But that's serious commercial equity that's happening during those games. Now, artificial intelligence being applied to sports on the African continent is a very powerful tool. Because in our world, there's no robots that are going to take over Springbok robots versus Australian robots. That's not going to happen. There's always going to be the human element. The artificial intelligence only amplifies what happens in terms of performance, in terms of planning, in terms of preparation.
Now you mentioned that sports people or athletes in Africa get paid huge amounts of money. And I'm not asking because maybe I'm thinking of pivoting. But how much are we talking here?
So look, I'll give you some metrics that are very interesting. A NBA player, average salary is $2 million US per year. Average. Which means there are people that are making 100 million. There's some that are making 50 million. And there's some 30, some 10, some 5. Per annum. Sure. Soccer players get on average 1.5 million euros a year. And that's someone who's sitting on the bench. They're not even playing. Yes. And then you saw what happened with Lionel Messi when he had to move from Barcelona. The whole world stopped because the transaction was $1 billion transaction for one guy.
Now, when we think about the talent acquisition, previously or historically, we knew that finding talent, especially in the African context, it meant scouts traveling. Has that changed with now the intervention of artificial intelligence? And I'm speaking specifically for the young boy in a small town, in the rural areas.
So let me give you a story about that. One of the testimonies in our organization, Worldwide Scholarships, is a young man who was coming out of Zimbabwe. Now, if you looked at his statistics on paper, he was a long jumper that could only jump 5 meters 60, which is average for a girl to jump, if you looked at his statistics on paper. But when I went to go and visit his high school, I realized that there was a tree in the pit of long jump standing at 5 meters 70. So he could not jump any further without injuring himself. This same young man went on to be one of the most decorated sports people in the world. In the long jump, jumping over 8 meters, going and running 9.89 seconds in the 100 meters, which was one of the fastest times in history. And had we had AI in those days, we would have been able to just ask his teachers to, with a cell phone, because in our world, just a cell phone and a simple apps, putting in certain metrics like, hey, how far can he jump on one step? How fast can he run over 30 meters? We would have known we had the world champion in front of us. But many people passed him up. And there are millions of children on the African continent, as you know. And Africa is the youngest continent in the whole world, which means the next trajectory of all talent, the next champions, the next billionaires in sport are coming from our continent. It is bigger than mining. I listened to, and the bankers were in the room talking about banking, and I'm like, guys, you guys are in the smallest industry when us sports guys get going.
So if we have any investors in the room, then I think you need to be paying special attention. I think this is where the money should be going.
Well, you're correct, because right now we're on a $10 million fundraise just for the first trajectory, first series of what is going to become an over a $150 million industry.
Munya, you've talked about AI looking at things like biomechanics, movement patterns, even mindset. How does it work in the real world?
So when you talk of biomechanics, let's push this over to the coaches. So this is AI applied to those who are developing and training talent, those who are, in the world of preparing talent. That's where the biometrics come in. With the introduction of artificial intelligence, now you can see how hard someone is training just by measuring how they perform in a gym training session. And from those same sessions, you can then tailor the training to make sure that they don't get injured as much as they would have in the past, where you're just shooting in the dark with how they're using their body.
And just from your experience, can you share an example where you've been surprised by the kind of athlete the system would flag?
So when you say flag, please...
Just in terms of their ability, or are you able to fit them in a specific training or a specific sport that you think would fit better based on the outcomes from the biomechanics? So
what is very amazing about the continent that we live on in Mother Africa here is there are so many different fabrics of talent around the continent, and we as an organization have done the different studies. In Southern Africa, you've got your shorter, faster athletes. In West Africa, you've got your bigger, stronger, explosive athletes. In East Africa, you've got your long distance or high altitude type athletes. But at the same time, you also have your very tall South Sudanese type basketball players. So when you look at the metrics, we know how high a NBA guy is supposed to jump. We know how fast a kid is supposed to run. We know all those metrics. And with the introduction of artificial intelligence or AI, you now are able to send apps or send the kind of metrics that we want to government schools, to schools in the rural areas, and a kid who has no shoes on can even do the same things, and we can know just from the click of a button whether or not we've got a superstar. So now we're working on things where we're saying, okay, let's go out into every high school on the continent of Africa and let them send us their number one guy. Because everyone knows who their number one guy. I mean, when you were in high school, you remember the girl who was the fastest. You remember who could jump the longest, who played, soccer the best. And all they need to do is send us one, and we put the same kind of artificial intelligence or AI on what they can do, and we'll be able to identify the next batch of kids from the age of 9 years old all the way up to teenagers.
Sure. And what about game prep? Could AI-driven simulations replace the gut instincts of a coach, or is it more of a partnership?
So I wouldn't say it can replace gut instinct. I would rather say that it is a good planning tool to be able to understand who is on your team. So if you're playing basketball, you know a guy usually likes to shoot at a certain time. By understanding those kind of statistics, you can then amplify how you play the game, and tell them to do different things structurally or strategically when they are playing against a certain opponent. The same in football. Football, you can see shapes, they call it shapes, where the ball is traveling, whether it's a high balls or more passing happening. A coach can plan, like everybody gets behind Jose Mourinho. He's the chosen one, he's got the strategy, nobody got strategy like Mourinho. Now, there's AI now. So when Mourinho now comes against some of the coaches from Africa in the future, we're able to plan using artificial intelligence on what they are used to doing themselves and as well as what we need to do ourselves to win.
Sure. My colleague Gyamo mentioned that AI has become such a disruptive tool, and a lot of us, when we think about artificial intelligence, we see it as this big threat to our careers and our jobs. Maybe this is a far-fetched idea, but could we potentially see a robot athlete?
I don't think so. I don't know if I want to watch a robot run. I saw that little yellow dog run, and everyone was scared of it out there during lunch. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure that that's what we want. But I do think that for us in sports, AI is not a disruptor, and it's not something that is a threat.
Okay.
It is more of a tool to amplify performance. And by amplifying performance, we perform better, we do better, we win more, we get injured less. And at the same time, there's now opportunities where our athletes now get to, instead of it being the kid went across to Cameroon and then from Cameroon went on a boat somewhere and then ended up in France by accident, and then now, hey, that's Mbappe, or here, that's this guy. Now we can actually have a career path and a pathway for each athlete that is structured from Africa all the way through from here to university scholarships, whether it's overseas or straight into professional teams overseas, because again, the data is the same that is being looked at from a coaching perspective.
I want to circle back to the point that you made, that AI could work part in part with coaches, and we won't see a full eradication of coaches. But does this mean now that future coaches might need to be part strategists or part-time data geeks? Because especially in the African context where this tool isn't so entrenched in our societies at the scale and level at which we want it to be.
So good question. I think, again, education of those administrators in sport is the most important piece, where AI is being taught in your coaching courses, in your coaching lessons, so that people understand that, listen, I need to use this tool to make myself more strategic. I have a strategy. I've got ways in which I need to report on how my athletes perform, but I need to embrace this tool to have myself do better. And someone like me can never ignore AI, because my name is Maraire, and AI is in the middle of my last name.
Okay, we don't have that much time left, but just fast forward 5 years from now, how do you see this tool then shaping the journey from a young child's tryout video to signing with the pro team, or even with the university, or even getting into an academy like yours?
So I think as you scroll backwards, now we can identify talent with the right metrics. How fast is he? How tall is he? How quick? How can he jump? How strong? At every single age group. It's easy now for us using AI to be able to plan the trajectory of somebody, knowing where they're going to go, where they should end up. If things all stay normal, they stay healthy, we can see where a kid can go. And we can then say, oh, well, when Lionel Messi was this age, he was doing this, this, and this. Now you're this age, you're doing this, this, and this. Or Ronaldo, or some of the basketball players, Michael Jordan, this is what they were doing. And we can use those same metrics and those same statistics to now build the next generation of African superstars. And it's going to happen. We're busy with it now. And I tell you, within the next 5 years, you'll start to see that most of the teams have African athletes straight from Africa in their teams. Already, the whole French World Cup team was African, but they said they were from France. But it's like, okay, well, let's look at their names. And you say, no, this is full on Africa. And this is going to happen across all the sports, from rugby to tennis to basketball to field hockey to athletics, all the way across the board.
I think I need to find myself a trainer and see which sport I could be fit for, just in case this doesn't work out.
No, but if you've got a child of your own, or if anyone in the audience or those who are watching have got a child of their own, and they think that they're talented in sport, this is a real career path. This is a real opportunity for your child that is even better sometimes than being a doctor or being a banker.
Sure. Parents, did you hear that? You can't force your child now anymore to go into law and study to be a doctor or engineer. Sports is the place to be, as it would seem.
Imagine the lawyer for Ronaldo. Do you know how many of the guys who are lawyers were fighting to get that account? Or the ones who are fighting to be his doctor? Or to be the doctor of Michael Jordan, or the therapist, or the driver, or the pilot?
Sure, exciting times ahead. Munya, just before I let you go, how can potential investors then get in touch with you, since you run the worldwide scholarships for sports?
So I think the easiest way is our email address is partnerships@worldwidescholarships.com, and obviously Worldwide Scholarships, you can Google and you'll be able to get the information for our organization. This will be a good opportunity, and like I said, this is the next trajectory. It's bigger than mining. We're talking $120 billion industry just on the African continent alone, and we're at the head of that.
I'm going to squeeze in just one more. If you think about the future of sports in Africa 5-10 years from now, how would you describe it using your favorite sports team? I'm hoping you say the Springboks, but...
So I see the Springboks. I mean, they're already number one in the world. So it's like, who do we use? Maybe let's talk about Bafana, because they're not really doing very well. So we see Bafana lifting the World Cup trophy with kids coming from humble backgrounds that were identified through AI, came through an academy system that was homegrown in Africa and took them all the way to the top of the world.
Munya, thank you so much for your time. I really do wish that we had a lot more time, but we're going to have to leave it there for now. Thank you.
Thank you.